And this is our answer key for practice 2.3, day 2. So in number 1, the initial or beginning temperature is negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And over so many hours, it drops 13 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to take negative 2 and add a negative 13. Dropping 13 is like adding a negative 13. Here's your result. And it means the final temperature is 15 degrees below zero. In number 2, team gained 8, which is a positive 8, then lost 5. We're supposed to find the total yardage, so we take the 8, add on a negative 5, which is a positive 3. And the positive 3 means the team gained a total of 3 yards after those 2 plays. In number 2, you have a gain of 7 points, a loss of 10, a gain of 2, and a loss of 8. So you add those together, you have a couple positives, a couple negatives. So you could then use the commutative property and add together the positives, add together the negatives, and you end up with a total of negative 9. So at the end of the game, the negative 9 represents that he lost 9 points. In number 4, what I decided to do was I took Lance's scores and I put the positives first and the negative second, which you can do with addition because it's commutative. Did the same with Rita. And when I add up the positives for Lance, that was 27 plus negative 18, and with a total of 9 points. And then Rita ended up with 38 positives, negative 18, which gives her a total of 20 points. So it ends up that Rita had the highest score. 20 minus 9 is 11, so she had a higher score by 11 points. 11 points more than Lance. So for number 5, just totaled up the gains and the losses. Ended up being 2 plus negative 5 plus negative 1, plus 4 plus negative 6. So I added the positives together and the negatives. Then I added this positive 6 and negative 12, got negative 6. So the final answer for the week, the stock had a 6-point loss, which answers both questions. In number 6 through 8, you want to set up subtraction problems. So number 6, to find the difference between the highest and lowest temperatures, you just take the highest temperature and subtract the lowest, which can be rewritten as 7 plus positive 5. So it's a 12-degree difference. Now to answer the second part of the number 6, to find the average change per hour, so there's a 12-degree change total, and from 6 o'clock p.m. to midnight is a total of 6 hours, so we divide it by 6, ends up being a 2-degree per hour change. In number 7, to figure out the lowest point, you just look at which of these two values is the lesser of the two, and negative 11,000 would be that. So the Pacific Ocean has the lowest point. Then the second part of the problem asks for how much lower. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the highest and subtract the lower value, which you can rewrite as negative 8,600 plus the opposite of negative 11,000, which is a positive 11,000. And now in order to add those two with different signs, you just go off to the side, take their absolute values, and you do a little subtraction. So after subtracting their absolute values, ended up with 2,400, which would be a positive, which gives me the answer of the Pacific is 2,400 meters lower. And number 8, the company had a profit in one year and then a loss in the next year. So we want to find the difference. So we'll take the highest value, 24,000, and subtract the lowest, which is a loss of 11,000. So we're actually subtracting a negative 11,000. In order to do that problem, we could add the opposite of that, which is a positive 11,000, which makes a $35,000 difference between the 2 years. So from 2011 to 2012, the company had a drop of $35,000. 2012 was not a good year. From 9 through 11, we're going to set up some multiplication. So in number 9, loss of 6 points in the first turn and also in each of the next 3 turns. That's a total of 4 turns. They lost 6 points each time. So just multiply -6 times 4. Gives you a score of -24 points. So number 10, the temperature declined 3 degrees each hour for 5 hours. That's a -3 degrees every hour for 5 hours. So you multiply that, get -15. So you can state your final answer as in 5 hours, the temperature dropped 15 degrees. So in number 11, since you already have $200, you start with $200. And each week there is, you're taking out $18. So that'd be a -18 for 8 weeks. So that'll be a multiplication. So just add those two together. And when we go to solve this problem, you do the multiplication first. And when there's two different signs, you get a negative answer. And 8 times 18, if you need to go off to the side, go ahead and do that. You end up with -144. And now when you add a positive plus a negative, you would subtract their absolute values. And you end up with 56. So how much money is in your account at the end of 8 weeks? There would be $56 in the account. A positive 56. It means there's 56 still left. So in number 12, in part A, since the account changed by $15 each week, it went down $15 each week, and the total change was a -$240, you want to find out how many of these are in this right here. So you set up as a division problem. And negative divided by negative is a positive. So you kind of just ignore the negative signs. When you divide 240 by 15, you're going to end up with, get 90 here, bring down the 0. 6 times 5 is 30. Gives you exactly 90, so there's no remainder. So it's exactly 16 weeks. So now in part B, if you want to find out how much he needs in his account to have 20 weeks worth of tickets. So 20 weeks, every ticket's $15. Okay, if you bought one a week, ends up being -300, which means he needs $300. But notice at the top, he already has $245 in his savings. So to find out how much he will need to make the 300, just take the 300 minus 245, which is $55. So your final answer would be he would need $55 more dollars.